reason today the captions and everything didn't work, but we will worry about that later. For now, let's get straight onto it. Let's start with disclaimers. I am recovering from a very nasty flu, and yes, you can tell it from my voice. It seems I didn't even realize how bad this was until everybody I spoke to yesterday wanted to know what was wrong with me, and then it clicked. Right, I sound very different. I'm very nasal, and I'm coughing. So when I get into a bout of that, I'm alive. It's just my lungs trying to clear themselves of the mucus that have settled there. Good morning. You know, when you are ill, you are immobilized. And when you are immobilized, you have time to think. You are forced to think. Well, if you are me, my brain, whilst the rest of my body was winding down, my brain just didn't want to wind down. My brain did not want to wind down. It just wanted to engage me in reflections that I do not want to do today. It was going to force me to do it anyway, so it did it. Is what happened. Anyway, one of the things that I realized, and it's a series of events that have carried on at least for the last 4 years in my life. 4 years. In the last 4 years, there is a thing that has spiraled, and every time I am called to do something about it, I chicken out. And the reason why I chicken out is because I am responsible for people. I need to participate in the paying of the bills, yada yada, In the last 12 months at least, I have had 5 opportunities to make a change. But on every single occasion, when I have done the mathematics have worked out so that I have stalled and I have stayed and maintained this particular thing. Hi Danette, how you doing? Good morning, Cheryl. You are very kind. How you doing? This morning I feel bunked up. That's how I feel. I hope you feel much better. Over the last 6 months in particular, I have had 5 opportunities to change something. And every time I weigh these opportunities, I do so from a safe point. And every time I look at the numbers and I do the analysis, and I do not want to step into discomfort, I resort back to letting the status quo remain. And then when the status quo remain, the pressures that were exist and remain. But what I have also discovered is the universe has continuously flagged up the fact that I cannot continue to make the safe choice. I have got to stick my neck out somehow and make things count. So guess what? Every single time the stakes go higher, the stakes go higher, the stakes go higher. This week, just this week, I cannot tell you how high the stakes have been pushed this week. And as the stakes have been pushed this week, good morning, wisdom man, the wisdom in my head clicked. Realization that I have had for a long time dawned yet again. Girl, you are not going to get to pull a punch on this one and get to any peace. You are going to have to make a stand on this one. And for me, I'm going to have to make a stand that involves discomfort. The stand I'm going to have to take requires loss of security. But it's not even loss of security. Loss of familiarity is probably the better description. Loss of familiarity, at least I've said this is familiar. I know it is not a surprise. But this familiar is unpleasant. This familiar is unstable. This familiar is all the things that don't work well for my brain, what I've come to know. is that stability is not the most important thing right now to me. Fidelity is. Respect is. Fidelity, respect, those things outrank, outclass, outshine familiarity in every step. So this morning, whilst I was sick, Barbara, brain got active. Brain started reflecting and chewed on a few things and spat some truths at me. I am going to have to make a change, whether I like it or not. The change can be done in pleasant circumstances. And if I am not brave enough to make those changes, the universe will continuously bring me situations that will force this to the fore. And I have had this forced on me so many times the last 4 years, and every single time I have chickened out, I have bailed, I have gone for what was familiar, citing creature comforts, and so on. And yesterday, on my sick bed, the cycles that have replayed themselves in my mind, and it was so glaringly obvious. Until I make this move, the universe will not relent. Every few months, it will take the stakes higher. What frustrated me to realize 4 years ago that a change was necessary is nothing in comparison to the new factors that are here this year to frustrate me and remind me. Why? Because I didn't take the easy cues. The universe is not giving me small cues anymore. It is throwing me curveballs that I cannot handle. It is attacking fundamentals that I hold sacred. It is helping me to know that I cannot avoid this. This is how the last 48 hours have been. Yeah, coughing. Mucus in my lungs. Yeah, Karen, I have just realized I can carry on this cycle for another decade if I want. As long as I do not make the move that is imminent, that is inevitable, that should have been made a while back. Things will always be thrown at me to remind me of the need to make a move. The funny thing is, you know, when you try to get somebody's attention the first time, you are tentative. Hey Karen, psst, psst, Karen, if that doesn't work, it needs to be louder because you are clear that that volume does not work. Oi, Karen! And sometimes, no matter how much you raise your voice, Karen doesn't hear. Yeah, Torona. Hey, Torona, nothing. You scream to the capacity of your lungs, still nothing from Torona. Guess what will happen? You will find something to throw at Torona, hoping that maybe something thrown at might get you a better response than the voice you have used and failed. It's the same thing the universe does with us. It called me, hey Amma, you need to make a move. And for me, I have known this since 2022, at least the beginning of 2022, maybe the end of 2021. I knew this, but I have been looking for convenience to align with inevitability. The problem is convenience refuses to align. Convenience is not in the mood for this game. And now I know convenience will refuse to align. I will be forced to make a move. What I know is when I am brave enough to make that move, I will be rewarded multiple fold. I will be rewarded. What will get me the reward is an initial desire to suffer an inconvenience. And I was talking it through with my kids yesterday. There is an obvious inconvenience, but that we need to work out an alternative strategy to manage that inconvenience. Then we might get somewhere. Why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this very simple thing because a lot of you, like me, find yourself in positions where change is inevitable. And when you find yourself in a position where change is inevitable, the factors around you will let you know. The cycles will repeat. In my case, those who need to insult me are very busy. They have been doing it for a while. They have insulted me in every possible language. They have given me verbal insults, emotional cues, silent insults, gross disrespect, gross disregard. Every time it happens, I think this is the rock bottom. No, it's not the rock bottom. It will be taking a few notches up. It's been taking a few notches up. And I knew, my friends and I were talking about it last year, I knew that it was going to go a few notches up. But it has gone a few notches even further than I thought it would. And as I have sat and I've watched it, I said to somebody, last year this happened. The year before this was done. And as I was talking to this person, the person was like, well, it gets progressively worse every year. I'm like, yep. Significantly worse every year. Why are you not upset? I laughed and I told the person, I do know why this is happening. The agents through which it is done are not my enemies. No man is your enemy. No man is your friend. Every man is your teacher. The agents through which this process is happening are not my enemies. Nope, they are just agents. They are vessels through which an inevitable process occurs. So the person looks at me quietly and says, what do you mean? Well, last year, the person that was sent to be the active ingredient was a friend of mine. The processes used this friend of mine to deliver the outcomes. This year, the person who looks like the face of my struggle is also a very pleasant, beautiful human being. The mechanisms don't change because it is something I have needed to do. The universe has been very patient with me in letting me know that it needed to be done. I have, as usual, refused to be sensible and be obedient. I am revolting as usual, and guess what? The universe is also not afraid to help me learn a simple lesson that I should have known a long time ago. Yeah, Betty, how are you doing? Good morning. So are you not upset? No, not really. I'm not upset. I know that this is just a reminder of what I should be doing or should have done a long time ago. It is forcing my hand to take action that should have been taken a while back. So this person sends me a message, and that is part of the reasons why I feel inspired to have this conversation with all of you. This person says, when I spoke to you about this issue, I was struck by a few things. One, your acceptance of what is happening was shocking. Two, your self-awareness of what is happening was mind-blowing. And three, your refusal to be emotionally triggered by this is incredible. I am not emotionally triggered because I actually do know what's going on. I understand. I am aware enough of who my enemies are. And my enemies are actually not the people. So in fact, what can be perceived as my enemy is not even my enemy. It is my greatest ally. It is the universe conspiring to force me, to push me to get better. It is not an adversary. It is kindness, ultimate kindness. Yeah, something that will force me to get my life in shape is not my enemy. And the people who would be used to get me to do that are not my enemies. Repeat after me. No man is your enemy. No man is your friend. Every man is your teacher. When you learn the game of life and you become skilled at playing it, you do not waste energy on emotions, because emotions don't really achieve anything. Emotions can make you suffer. They don't change outcomes. The suffering doesn't change the outcomes. It doesn't shorten the pathway to where you need to get to. In fact, in terms of perception, it can make it seem longer than it actually is, because you feel pain, and sustained pain can lengthen processes in your mind. This is what I have concluded when I woke up quite early today. When I woke up early today and I was pondering over my life. Good morning, Maxine. How are you doing? I realized some things. If I don't make a move, I'll be back here in a few months. And I do not want to be back here too long. So I need to make a move. I need to make a move. And I will make a move. This time I will not pull a punch when the time comes for the move. For the last 4 years I have explored. But when the final thing comes to my plate and I am required to finally make a decisive move, I don't. When the time comes, I don't. And because I don't, the cycle continues. And I've realized this morning that I am sick and tired of the cycle. And so the logical thought comes, what will end this cycle? Action. Action will end the cycle. Action will take you to a different place. What has held me in place for a long time is the thought that maybe somehow if I make a move and the move is not perfect, not making a move is not perfect. And if you make a move and it's not perfect, you make another move. And I realized it this morning in the stillness. You don't need to get moves perfect. If a move proves not to be ideal once you've made it, then you make another one. You don't sit and not make a move for fear that it might not be perfect, because again, nothing guarantees to be perfect. So make a move, and if a move is not the right one after you've made it, make another move. You'd thought that this simple thing that I have known for a long time would not have eluded me for so long, but yeah, Christine, there you go. Make a move, make another move, and even more moves until you find a move that serves a purpose, that achieves an outcome. Don't. Hey, Angela. And just like that, clarity in my head, and I'm hoping that I will be able to bring some of that clarity to some of you who listen to me from secondary information, because the primary is painful. It is so painful when you have to go through what I am still going through to come to this realization. It is so painful when you have to take the insults, the disrespect. It is so painful when the mechanisms, the well-oiled mechanisms, deliver. Yeah, and you sit and you watch. And what is even worse is when you know what is to come, and you have to sit, watch it come. Good morning, Maxine. Yeah. When you know what is to come, and you sit, watch it come, and in my case, you sit, watch it come, and your own brain tells you, girl, you knew this. You did nothing about it. Well, you are responsible for this. That's what my brain told me this morning. You can't be mad, girl. You can't be mad. This is your doing. You permit it. That's why it happens. You permit it. That's why it happens. You've got to take responsibility for it. If you don't permit it, it will not happen. Ouch. Ouch. And taking responsibility is a difficult thing. When the blame is laid so squarely on your plate by your own brain with evidence you can't refute. Yeah, that's a different kind of trauma. It's a different kind of trauma. But yeah, I finished that sequence this morning, not feeling sorry for myself, but again, reminded of my agency. I am an agent. I'm a very powerful agent in my own life. I am capable of a lot. I control a lot. And when I refuse to control, I permit what happens. If I don't permit it, it will not happen. If somebody insults you, you permit it by being in their presence. And that person could be anybody. If it's family, you can refuse to go to family gatherings, in which case the bitchy aunties will not get the opportunity to see you to deliver what they have been cooking for the last 12 months. A friend of mine just attended a family wedding. She's 48, unmarried, no children. You can imagine. You can imagine. The West African aunties and their opinions on this. How dare you be 48 and not married, with no children, living the life most of us cannot even dream of. So they've got to tear her down. Of course they do. It's her niece's wedding, and when she told me, my niece is also getting married in a few weeks. For the first time, one of our children is getting married. You know, my sister's daughter is getting married in a few weeks, and I have been processing this also. Gosh, I was there when she was born, and now she herself is getting to her adult milestones. I don't know what that says about me. Anyway, my friend and I were talking about this. Her niece was getting married, and we were lamenting. I can't attend my niece's wedding because time-wise, I just can't fit in. I've just done a stupid summer of running around, and I have done a whirlwind trip that I haven't even had time to recover from. So I will not be able to attend my niece's wedding. Obviously, I am struggling with the processing in my mind because I wanted to be, she was the bridesmaid at my wedding. So I wanted to be at hers. The timing, I'm struggling. My friend and I were talking, and when I brought it up, my friend says, I've got to go to this one. And I said to her, you've got to? She says, yeah. Well, your reasons are different from mine. I want to, I can't. You don't want to, but you've got to explain that to me. And she was explaining, you know. And in the end, I said to her, well, listen, you don't have to. If you don't go for this wedding, these witches will not get an opportunity to harass you because you blocked them. But if you take your 2 legs and you walk into this wedding, you are making your ears available. And the ones who have not been able to deliver their messages will have it ready to go. Regardless of everything I said, she decided to go anyway. Came back in tears. In tears. They had ripped her to shreds. And she comes back and I'm like, girl, you can't tell me that you went there without your emotional buffers, because we had already talked about the fact that they were going to tell you. You knew this. And you still walked into their den without emotional armor. That is irresponsible. That is irresponsible. You have to take the responsibility. You subjected yourself to them. Angela and Anthony, how you doing? You subjected yourself. You permitted them to speak to you that way by being there. You could have also gone to the wedding and refused to engage with any of them. You could have. Or you could have chosen not to go to the wedding. They did that to you with your permission. Obviously. She needed a bit of time to process it and come back. And she was like, you know, I hate that you are right, but I've got to admit, yeah. In the end, I have to own that I permit it, yeah. There are lots of people I don't speak to because I can't be bothered to listen to their rubbish. I don't permit that they tell me whatever nonsense comes to their brain. No, I do not. I refuse to let it happen. I refuse to let it happen. If I let it happen, then it is also my choice. And I've got to accept it. It is my choice to accept it or reject it. Knowing that it's your choice helps you to make decisions, alternative decisions if you like. Marina, how you doing? Good morning. Aluta continual. I'm here to continue my fight. Whatever the fight is, I am permitting it today. I'm subjecting myself to the fight. So I am responsible. I have to own the fact that this is all possible because I permit it. This is possible because I allow it. I enable it. No one can insult you. Barbara, no one can insult you if you don't lend them your ears. They can insult you only when you lend them your ears. If you don't want to listen to the insult, don't lend your ears. Very simple, huh? Yeah. People can hurt you when they are in close proximity. Well, remove yourself from close proximity. Make yourself unavailable. Yeah, don't allow yourself to be available to people who will abuse you and then come back and cry about the abuse. No. You are not such a victim. You are in control. You can decide not to engage. You can remove yourself, and that gives you the protection and insulation you need. So listen, this conversation was warming up, and I would like to continue. One, my breathing is funny because I'm recovering from a flu. And two, I've just arrived at the door, so I've got to go in. Let's continue this in a bit. Yeah? Okay. Bye.